Hey everyone, it's Josh from Blockchain DXB, and today I have Garfield Griffiths, who's the Senior Director of Special Events for Spartan Race. And the World Championship is taking place between the 2nd and the 4th of December in the land of Gazelle, that is Abu Dhabi. Now I wanted to find out what is going on in Garfield Griffiths' mind when you're preparing for such a spectacular event. In 2021, Spartan Race had the World Championship in Lever, and it was, if not one of the most brutal events in the history of Spartan Race. So I wanted to find out what is it that is going on in Garfield Griffiths' mind in order to prepare for this obstacle course race. What are the challenges that he faced and what are the cultural differences? Now, on this podcast, he started off with giving his experience in obstacle course race. Now look guys, Garfield is an OG in the obstacle course race. He has been doing obstacle course race for over a decade. Now he shared his experience in the fitness community, in the sporting community, and the obstacle course race community as well. What I really liked in this podcast is he explained some of the challenges that he faced in doing the event in Lever. But what I gained from this podcast is that he looks at challenges as an opportunity and he still continues to move forward ahead with plan A, plan B, plan C, and quite a lot of other. And this time, Spartan Race is visiting Abu Dhabi for the second time with the World Championship taking place in Al Watba. And he did give some really sound advice to international athletes who will be visiting for the World Championship, and he also gave some inside scoop on what you can expect at the event. And listen guys, listen to this episode because he did give out some tips on what is it that you can do in order to prepare for this event. What I really like about Garfield is that he's got a really strong passion for obstacle course race, and one thing which I always try to identify when I'm speaking to people is, are they merging their passion with what they are good at? And I have this feeling that Garfield has got it right. He's merging his passion with what he's good at. Now, towards the end of the podcast, we also discussed his choice of music and his passion for cigars. Now, listen, guys, if you have a passion for cigar, you definitely need to get in touch with Garfield because he's really passionate about cigars and he explains some of the details and intricacies between cigars. And if you know of any iconic places where there is a cigar community, be it in Abu Dhabi or other parts of UAE, definitely mention them in the comments below. And if you do have any feedback or suggestions, mention them in the comments below. Now, if you do want to get in touch with Garfield, all of his contact details are mentioned in the show notes below. Now, before we kickstart this episode, I have an important message from Spartan, so check this out. Spartan is a global fitness brand with a 10 million strong community. We create transformational events, experiences, products, and content to help people, companies, and teams tear down boundaries and expand what they believe to be possible. From day one, nearly 2 decades ago, we've been champions of human transformation. We live to help people get outside, eat healthy, and develop habits that lead to a life of constant progress. With a family of brands, we push people from every corner of the globe outside their comfort zones and immerse them in a world of tough fitness and elite sports. We do this because when you can face and overcome adversity head-on, your potential is limitless. This year in December, in Abu Dhabi, the land of the Gazelle, thousands of athletes and spectators will gather at the metropolis in the desert to compete for Spartan immortality. This is a unique opportunity to watch the world's best obstacle course race athletes compete for the World Championship and have your group conquer the course themselves. For Spartan World Championship ticket details and registrations to the program, see the link below, and there is also a discount code, so see the show notes below for the discount code and the registration link, and hopefully see you at Al Watba. Now let's kickstart today's episode. Firstly, Garfield, thank you so very much for doing this. Really appreciate it.
No, absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Let me just turn my radio off because that's going to drive you crazy. So what's going on, sir? What can we do for you?
Yeah, I just wanted to firstly thank you so very much, for taking your time in terms of doing this podcast, because what I really wanted to find out in terms of, from a race director's point of view, what is it that is going on in your mind? And you've been responsible for creating the most brutal event in the most brutal condition in the history of Spartan Race. So just wanted to get, your insights in terms of, what goes on in planning and what is the cultural difference that you experience. But before that, Garfield, I just wanted to check, how has your day been? I mean, because you've been traveling quite a lot recently as well, right?
Yep. Had a couple of races. I was in California, I was in West Virginia, and then, of course, flew halfway around the world to be here.
And how has the weather of Abu Dhabi been treating you as well?
Pretty good, actually. It's hot, obviously, but it's winter time, so the mornings are nice, the evenings are nice. Gets
And
a little crazy in the afternoon.
and is the weather kind of similar that resembles Florida as well?
Yeah, it's not bad. Florida's a lot more sticky. But we,
A
we have
lot
the
more humid.
we have the humidity there. But no, this is really pleasant. I've just been out there for the last hour or so, so I'm a little bit hot.
Well, thank you so very much once again, for doing this podcast. And what I wanted to quickly check is, can you tell our listeners a bit about yourself? Because I believe you've been doing obstacle course race for almost over a decade, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I've been kind of working in this industry since about 2011.
Yeah.
I actually ran a Spartan race in Miami and got kind of hooked on running them.
Oh,
So,
excellent.
yeah, but I was an event person before that. I used to manage music festivals and bars and nightclubs and all that kind of fun stuff. So it was a fun transition. I thought I'll try and put a mud run on because nobody knew what OCR was back then. And that was it. I kind of switched over and started, came to work for Spartan about 6 years ago.
Now you're the senior race director, isn't it?
Yes. Actually, I just changed. I just got a small change in, so I'm now the senior director of special events.
Oh, excellent. So would that mean that you'll be doing the other obstacle course race, such as, one which got announced yesterday, the OCR World Championship, merging with Spartan brand?
Oh, the independent. So I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely going to be involved in that some way, and as part of, it's a collaboration. So, if that event's going to kind of stay as it is, but I'm definitely I'm going to be helping and supporting in any way that I can.
Brilliant. That's awesome. Now, before we start, what I wanted to do is, I wanted to ask, when you found out that Spartan Race is doing the World Championship in Abu Dhabi, what was your immediate reaction to that? And did you ever visit UAE or Abu Dhabi before doing the event?
So I found out I wasn't really outside actually because there's people in the office. Pretty easier to talk outside.
Okay, yeah.
That's not too loud out here, is it?
No, it's perfect.
It's beautiful. So I found out in I think it was 2019 actually. Early 2019 that, we're working with the Abu Dhabi Sports Council. We're going to look at doing the World Championship in 2020 in Abu Dhabi. So we started the planning, did everything. And then of course COVID came and threw everything upside down. So the 2020 race was cancelled. And then, so we kind of restarted planning, in the COVID time. So I visited in 19. Then I visited again in early 2021. And then again, so 3 times I was here before we actually put the race on last year out in Liwa. And then I've been here twice this year prior to this one. So it's like my 5th or 6th time here doing the fun 30-hour travel day.
Yeah, and did you ever get a chance to visit Dubai or other parts of UAE as well? Or?
I have not had a chance. It's been work. A lot of my team, they stayed. I have my family back in the USA. So, when I'm done, I have a look around. I love the desert and everything, but I didn't get a chance to go and sightsee. I went straight back to my kids.
Yeah, and I was just going to ask that, your kids, you often tend to do obstacle course race with them as well. So what is their reaction when they found out that it's in the Middle East? I mean, were they inclined towards it? Did they want to join?
They thought it was so cool. I talk to them all the time. I chat on Facebook and, they think it's very cool that Dad's out in the desert running around and making people climb monkey bars and ropes and things like that. So my boy wants to run. My boy and my daughter both love running these things. But my son's 15 now, but he's been running them since, he's 10 years. So it went since he was 5, doing these. Oh, he's got, hundreds of medals as well. So, but he wanted to come out, but unfortunately Daddy has to work, so I couldn't keep an eye on him.
No, what's great to see in the obstacle course race community is that the second generation is also getting involved because Hobby Call's son.
Yeah, Hawk.
And it's great to know that, your son most likely will be competing with Hobby Call's son as well. So that's.
I don't know. I don't know about that. My boy's all about basketball right now, but, he's like me. He does it just for fun. I don't chase Ryan Atkins. I hang around and chat with volunteers and then, sit in the mud pit for a while. I'm one of those kind of runners.
Yeah, and that's something, which you get a kick out of it. I mean,
yep.
So what I wanted to find out from a race director's point of view, what is it that is going on in your mind when you're doing, let's say, a world championship event? When there are regular events, I understand that it might be a bit different. So what is it that is going on in your mind, and what is the discussion that takes place between you and Joe Cena, the board of directors?
So I mean, the core process is very similar, whether we're doing it here, China, on the moon, wherever it is. The core, let's call it the template, if you will, of
Mhm.
how we do it. We have a race planner, we have a race director, we have the construction manager. So we all have our parts, and obviously the race director keeps an eye on everything. Really, the conversations are about transitioning. We can't just walk into the local hardware store like we do in the US. We go to Home Depot and get our lumber. Here, we have to find somebody on the ground who can help us, maybe speak the language, and then we say, we need this, we need that. And not everything is as easy to find here as it might be where we're, depending on what part of the world we're in. So it's not too bad here, but it's a case of just, the time difference makes it difficult. 9 hours is a whole day, like a work day. So that makes communication tricky, because if I'm talking to someone, hey, I just need you to do me a favor quickly. Can you go and see if you can find this? It's not quickly, because I have to wait 24 hours until it comes around. We go around the sun one time, and then he'll be like, no, I couldn't find it. Okay, let's go and try and find this. And then it's another day. We got to wait until. So sometimes the time difference is probably the biggest hurdle, let's say obstacle, just to keep it relevant.
Yeah, I
But
totally agree. And just
overall, it's
yeah,
the planning process is very similar, believe it or not, between the two.
and when you're doing events, let's say, in other parts of the world, what are some of the cultural differences that you have found? And that could be both positive or negative. Particularly doing, let's say, an event in Liva, Abu Dhabi. Let's say if you were to do it in UK or US, because I'm sure there are a couple of cultural differences, and there might be positives and some negatives as well. So what are your experiences on that?
I mean, cultural differences, you're going to find them everywhere. I've lived all over the world, for various reasons. And, as you say, there are the pluses and minuses, and I don't think there are really classes a plus or a minus. They're just different. What one person thinks is a plus might be a minus to somebody else. So I would hate to sort of say, oh, that's a minus. No, it's just how it's done here. I find sometimes, getting things nailed down is the best description. Can sometimes be difficult in different parts of the world, when it's a case of this will be here at this time. And, in the UK, we're very, very, we're very punctual. We're all about, being on time and being efficient and all that. Or you go to like Europe and Germany, those things. Japan is very, very efficient at a certain
Yeah,
way, and everything has to be almost clockwork. But certain other cultures that I've worked in, could it be like, I live in South Florida, which is, a lot of South America, Latin American side, where it's a lot more relaxed. And, everyone's like, oh, not everyone's as uptight as us British people. So it's a bit more relaxed and laid back. And yeah, I'll get it to you today, tomorrow, at some point. So that, that is something that, as someone whose job is details and making sure all of the pieces fit together, that can be a stress at times, when you're not sure if something's going to arrive on time, but you have to have it, and it's not there. That's probably the biggest one.
totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Now take us back to your experience that you had last year, which was in Liva. I do think that was, if not one of the most brutal events, probably,
That,
and doing it back to back. What was your experience from that, and what was the learnings, and what are some of the challenges that you particularly faced?
oh yeah, so Liwa was a fun one. The biggest challenge for Liwa really was the fact that it was, 4 hours out of Abu Dhabi, and 2 hours away from the nearest hotel. So, I mean, 2 hours from the hotel, we work every day. My team, we're here for 3 weeks, and we work every single day for 3 weeks. No days off, all the way through. And each day we start at 7 and we finish at about 7. So it's about a 12-hour day. If you add 4 hours of travel per day to that, it really, really started to wear people down. And, even though I'm British, I live and, I've been in the USA for 20 plus years. My family's American, and I celebrate Thanksgiving. It's a big holiday, Thanksgiving, big family. We missed it. A lot of my team missed it. It was 2 days ago. Um, so that was a challenge, and then, working basically 16 hours every day for 3 weeks straight. It'll wear you down. The other challenges were just getting things. As I mentioned, sometimes it's easy to just pop out. Oh, I need a box of screws. Oh, I need some handles for this. Yeah, you're 4 hours into the desert, and it's a case of like, that's a process. You have to make sure you have everything. If you miss something, it's like, wow, that's 4 hours back to Abu Dhabi to the industrial center to find a concrete ball or something like that. So that was the big one of the other challenges. We camped. We had this camping idea, but I don't think, and we weren't tracking on it as a company coming in from the US, because when we went to visit Liwa, it was quiet. It was beautiful. I mean, those dunes, it's one of the most beautiful places on earth. However, we were not tracking on the fact that it was also one of the busiest dune buggy locations on the face of the earth, especially during the 50th celebration of the National Day. And we're trying to camp and sleep after 12 to 15-hour days, and we did not sleep for 20 minutes a night. Just buggies and buggies and buggies. But, we were there. That's their playground. We came in. So there's nothing you can do. You just gotta kind of suck it up. So that was the challenge. It was tough. I'm dealing with, 60, 70 staff who had no sleep and doing a fairly stressful job. It was tough as a race director, or as a people manager to kind of keep everyone from killing each other.
I totally agree because in that heat, in that extreme weather, and I was camping there all night as well. And I totally agree, the noise at night. And I was hoping that maybe after an hour, the noise would go down.
No. I ended up sleeping. So we had, so you probably remember they had the kind of, the finish line was the bleachers and the grandstand area. So we had a small office underneath there that we worked out of. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was sat there. I was like pointless trying to sleep. And I went inside and I was like, oh my goodness, I think this door is soundproof. And I just curled up in a ball under my desk and I slept there. And it was the best 3 hours of sleep I think I've ever had.
That is absolutely great. And one of my experience that I noticed when camping at night was, for some odd reason, the sound just kept getting louder and louder. And I was hoping.
I think it was deliberate. There was definitely some people who didn't really want us there, and I totally respect that. This was their playground, and we came in, this big company, putting on a world championship. And I think there was some like, let's keep these people away. Because I remember there were people just outside our tent, just sitting with their foot on the gas pedal. They weren't going anywhere. They were just revving and revving for 30, 40 minutes straight without going it. So, I think they were sending us a message, I think.
And it was
received.
And what I wanted to find out, Garfield, in terms of what about the international athletes? What was their feedback and reaction to the entire event?
So what I got from the athletes, at least who I spoke to, Ryan and Lindsay and those guys, they loved the course, they loved the challenge and the beauty. I mean, you can't mistake. It was fantastic. It was such an iconic race. Which was good. So it was worth all of the sacrifices that we all did. Unfortunately, a lot of these athletes, they couldn't sleep. And these are finely tuned machines. They need to get their rest. They're going to run. So yeah, that was not ideal for them to not get sleep. And that's one of the reasons that, we've moved to Liwa, to Al Watfa. Because right now, we're here and we can, people can go back to Abu Dhabi, have a nice cozy hotel room. Go have a swim in the pool, and then you can drive here on race morning and have a race and go back. So I think it's going to definitely change the dynamic a little bit. Although Liwa was great and we have amazing stories now, this one is a little more cozy, if you will.
And now, what I wanted to ask is about Al Watfa. What advice would you, let's say, give to international athletes who haven't attended the Liwa event last year? The second advice is for, who are the first timers going into Al Watfa. What advice would you like to give them? And this is purely for the international athletes.
Yeah. So, if you're coming out, the big one is, and I know a lot of the athletes last year, they got the gaiters, they wore the gaiters to try and keep the sand out. That's a big thing. I'm sure you were there. So, to be honest. You're never going to keep all the sand out. It's coming in whether you want to or not. But those gaiters, I know I was talking to Ryan Atkins and he said his worked really, really well. So I would say look at getting some gaiters because there's a lot of soft dunes here, like Liwa. There's a lot of hard packed areas like the Sabkas. So there's a lot of times you can really start to open up and that's just great normal standard running. But yeah, we got dunes and we got Steve Hammond here, who's, one of our legendary course guys. And I just was with him today. We were looking at some of these giant dunes and he said, yep, we're going to send them up there. I said, okay, Steve, you're the boss. So, I would say make sure it's a bit late to practice, but make sure that you are good on hills. Get on the Stairmaster and practice or just run up and down stairs for a while because there are going to be some big sand dunes again that you're going to go up and down. And of course, the other one is just, goes without saying, but hydration, always start your hydration long before you get here. And if you can get here a little bit early, again, I'm sure people have already booked their flights, but, acclimatizing and getting rid of the jet lag can't hurt. Because I know some of us come a long way. I mean, I traveled, it took me like 33 hours of travel with the time difference, not actual travel. But, that jet lag, it'll kick your butt.
Totally 100% agree. At least now the weather is relatively better.
Yeah,
so,
This is beautiful, right? I'm sitting outside right now, and it's just gorgeous out here. And it is such. If anyone's actually staying at this resort, well done, because it is absolutely magnificent.
And one question what I wanted to ask regarding the video footage during the race: is there any possibility, let's say, to have a buggy or a car, follow the athletes? Will that make it a bit easier because following some of the pro athletes with the GoPro, I think would be extremely tiresome for some athletes, right?
Well, we do. I mean, we have what we call rabbits, and the rabbits will follow. But I mean, a lot of these are like, almost Olympic trail runners, so they're very fast. And of course, they're not doing the obstacles. But yes, it's very hard. But we will have buggies as well with the media team. And we should probably have some drone footage. I think we're looking to try and do some actual live broadcasting out of this one. So, so we have buggies and we have a media team who are going to be driving around and rabbits who are also going to be getting footage.
Now, see, I did my first Spartan race in Abu Dhabi. That was in the golf club. And back then, there were also a couple of beers at the tent. But I'm not sure if we are having any couple of pints or burgers at the tent.
We have we're not doing, I know that a lot of the time we do the finish line beer, which is more of a US European thing. Which again, you mentioned the cultural differences. Obviously, that's one of them. But we are, because we have an international crowd, we do have a beer area people can go. And if they want to have a beer after the race, they can do that in a separate area down by the obstacles. We have a bunch of obstacles that you can see from the festival area. So, and we're going to have some burgers and different kind of food trucks. So it's a lot of good stuff in this festival area. It's going to be very busy with vendors and sponsors. A lot more than last year, I think, because we're a lot closer to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot more for spectators to do.
That is excellent. And based on your experience in designing this course for the World Championship, what is the time frame you're looking at, let's say, for the male and the female athletes in comparison to, let's say, the previous event? Your expectations?
So last year, the championship race was I think it was the Beast. Was it the Beast?
Yes,
it was the Beast. It was the Beast, yeah. So this year, it is the Super. We kind of changed it up because there are various reasons that was changed. One of them, I think, is because it's a little more spectator friendly. It's a little faster, a little more energetic, but it still has a bit of distance to it. It's like, sits in the middle nicely. So as far as distance, what is it, 6, 10, 10K? I don't know. I mean, these guys are going to be quick. I mean, they're definitely the dunes are going to slow them down. We were very surprised at how quickly people did Liwa last year.
Yep.
I mean, it was like, was it an hour 20? It was very
2 hours
quick.
and 7 minutes, I think. 3 minutes.
No, 2 hours. Yeah, that's quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that we're going to have people probably hit close to the hour mark on this one.
And I do think, with VJ Jones, I think he's definitely going to be there for the Super event. I think he would definitely smash it.
Yeah, that's sick. I'm honestly, I don't have a list of the names. I mean, there probably is one somewhere. I'm not trying. I know Ryan and Lindsay because I spoke to them. They tagged me on some stuff. I hope VJ comes because I know he wasn't here last year, but I'd love to see VJ. I'd love to see a lot of the guys from the US and the UK come out. try their challenge. I know that Pepper's coming out from the UAE
Yeah,
and a bunch of those guys. So I'm really looking forward to it. This is going to be a great weekend.
absolutely. And one thing which I wanted to ask is, some of the athletes who did do the Spartan lever, they did Spartan Romania as well. And surprisingly, what they said that Spartan Romania was much tougher than lever because
Oh,
after doing the lever, they were like completely shattered. This is the toughest thing. But when they went to Romania, they were like, "This is the worst." So, do you think?
was it mountainous or?
No, they were just proper athletes, but it was a lot of uphill and downhill.
No, sorry, that's what I'm saying. Was it mountains and
Yeah,
hills? Was it? Okay, so
absolutely.
that will get you. I mean, the sand. I guess when people get used to the sand, they kind of got in the rhythm, and then
Mhm.
coming down the dunes. But yeah, we have a race in the U.S., the Utah Beast. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like nearly, I don't know, I can't do the calculation, but you're up about 10,000 feet. So that's about 3,500 meters to
Oh,
the top and down. And it's just a giant rock and it is a beat down. Even Ryan Atkins is like, wow, that was, yeah, well, of course it's Ryan thing. That was one of my favorite races ever, which means it was tough. Um, I would say that the Utah race was probably harder than Liwa, although Liwa was difficult for different reasons.
mhm.
The Utah or Romania, I can see
Yeah.
why people would say that.
And one question what I wanted to ask is, and this is something which you have mentioned earlier as well, like keeping the supply chain management and the transport and logistics. Are there a couple of challenges that you're facing, let's say at an international level, not necessarily, let's say, within, Abu Dhabi or Al Wadba located? So are you facing any challenges and how do you cope up with any last minute challenges? Because I'm sure there would be last minute changes that do tend to come up. So what is your thought process going on behind that?
So my process, and I think this any race director has a very similar process. Basically, always have a plan B. In my case, C and D. Um, extra plans. I mean, Leeward, for those who didn't know, we had containers all on a ship with all of our obstacles, everything, all of the branding, the t-shirts, the registration computers, they never made it to Leeward. That was not our equipment.
Oh,
None of it arrived. It all got stuck in the South China Sea. So you talk about last minute. Yeah, we had to find an obstacle race. We had to reach out to Spartan Arabia. We reached out to Spartan Asia. We basically found printers who would make t-shirts. Everything we did in Liwa was done last minute, the whole thing. So we're very proud of the fact that we pulled it off without many people noticing. But yeah, you talk about last minute, that's as last minute as it gets because nothing arrived. We had nothing. This one, we have our kit. We got it, came in, we brought it in. So we're looking a lot better there. We got our shirts and our t-shirts and our merchandise. So that's all here. Yes, last minute things. Yeah, there's always last minute things. We had some stuff with the hotel just this afternoon. They're saying, oh, well, you can't go here. You can't go there because there's some fossil dunes and some old, historical stuff. So we're having to kind of, pivot and move the kids' course around and move this. We just moved Dunkwall to a different location. Those things are normal. I mean, we do those. That happens all the time. So this one, yeah, last minute things, but nothing that I would say is too alarming.
and are there any surprise moments, let's say, that athletes would be joining for this World Championship should be aware about or keep an extra caution or prepare additional for it? This is kind of like a hidden tip that you want to give to them.
I don't know about a hidden tip. I said a lot of the people are going to be quite surprised to find that they run around a lake here in the middle of the desert. That's going to be a fun one.
Okay.
Yeah, we found a small lake that's out there. No, I don't think there's any major sort of wow. So if you're on the beast, we got a really gnarly double sandbag that's gonna beat a few people up. So if you're doing the trifecta, that beast sandbag, and it's Steve Hammond, he doesn't mess around. So that's gonna have a little bit of, as you say, meat and potatoes to it. Outside of that, no, I mean, we just got a great course. I'm really excited for everything. Great festival area, some really good, a huge finish corral. We have this amazing the rig at the end. I think it's going to be I don't quote me on this, but I think it's gonna be something like beta into twister into multi-rig or multi-beta twister. It's a whole combo rig like we did last year.
Yeah.
It's gonna be pretty cool. And then we got the spear throw near the end, which I know is always, pardon my French, no, I won't say it, but it pees off a lot of people because that can make or break a championship, having a spear that close to the finish.
Correct, yeah. And this might be the last year where they're planning to have 30 burpees on the spear, isn't it? Next year.
No, there's no burpees on the championship course. This is all penalty loops.
Oh, just penalty loops. Okay.
Yeah. So the penalty loop, that's going to be the elite championship races. That's the current plan. I mean, still open in age group. Everyone else will be doing burpees. You know, we love our burpees, but just for a case of policing, not keeping an eye on it, and trying to keep pushing towards a fairer race. The burpees just had to go. We had to go for something that was easier to keep an eye on. It's very hard to count burpees of like 40 people at the same time who just missed this.
And the last few questions what I wanted to ask Garfield is, what is your dream location to have, let's say, a world championship or even a regular Spartan event, which hasn't happened yet?
Ooh, that's a good one. Dream location for a Spartan race that hasn't happened yet. Well, I know that we have one. It hasn't happened, and it was supposed to happen next year, but I know there's talk of a Jamaica, which is a trifecta, which is actually going to be one of my events. That I think is going to be amazing. I live down in that area anyway, South Florida, but, I don't know. I think that'd be, something Mediterranean would be kind of cool. I'm a fan. I lived in Cyprus when I was very young. I was a fan of Cyprus. I think that'd be an interesting, venue. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good one. I think the Caribbean is the one that I'm looking forward to the most when that happens.
At that location.
I have the answer. I have your answer. One that we looked at starting, and I wasn't there, and because of various reasons we couldn't do it. But we were going to do a Cuba race.
Oh yeah.
Many years ago, and it all kind of fell apart, and whatever reason I wasn't with Spartan then. But I think I would love for that one to happen. Not because I love cigars so much, but just because I think it'd be, well, maybe that as well.
In fact, I was just going to say, and I was going to send you a text message as well, that in Abu Dhabi there's this place called St. Regis, which is like a massive cigar club.
Oh, okay.
So,
you have to send me the information after we've done this. That'd be amazing.
Absolutely, I definitely will. And what I wanted to find out is, let's say if the event would take place in Cuba, or let's say in Jamaica, would you be taking your kids along with that, or for the running event?
Yes. So actually, it's funny enough because I have a race next year in the Bahamas. We're doing an event, and I'm actually going to take my kids over to that one. And honestly, from where I live, I'm not kidding, it's probably a 21-minute plane ride. So
not too bad at all.
I could almost throw a stone at Bahamas from my house. So yeah, we're probably going to go over there at Atlantis, which is a beautiful place, and then I'll probably take my kids.
Excellent. And I just have two questions, not obstacle course related, but before that, do you have any message, let's say, to the athletes or people who want to join the Al Watba? Any special message that you have for them?
I would say, the desert. If you've not been here, I've seen the desert on TV and movies. It is nothing, absolutely nothing compared to standing in it. It is mind-blowing. It is life-changing. So don't think, I've seen people posting, I don't want to run in sand all day. Come and try it. It is a life-changing experience to do a race out here. I was out today standing on the dunes, looking out and just kept going. Yeah, come do the race, try it out. We have a sprint. I mean, we have a 3-mile, 5K race. You can do it. You can ease into it. And, it's life-changing out here. Come try it.
And from next year onwards, Spartan is also preparing for shorter race duration as well, about 3 kilometers.
Yes. So we're going to actually do a test 3-kilometer race here, which is a 3K, the team relay. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're kind of killing two birds with one stone, if you will. So we're doing the team relay, and I said, well, why don't we do the 1K loop, and it can be a kind of test for our 3K, because 3K is going to be 3 1K loops next year. So yeah, we're giving that a test, and we even have again, it's something we're just testing. I don't know if it's going to be part of what we do, but based on the Olympic decathlon and pentathlon, we're actually going to try out these laser pistols that they use in the Olympics. So the team relay actually gets to try out these laser pistols.
And I think they had something in Philippines as well, right? Like
yes,
a trial.
Absolutely. They've done it there. And so we're going to try it here, and then we're going to try it again in the US. And we'll see. It might stay. We'll see how it goes.
That is absolutely excellent. And the last two questions that I have is, not related to obstacle course race. Now, when you mentioned about Florida, I did have to ask what genre of music that you like.
Me? So I don't know if you know, but my history, the reason I ended up in Florida, I was a DJ.
Oh, okay, excellent.
And I DJ'd all over the place, and I was one of the rave DJs, the clubs. EDM, as they now call it. It wasn't called EDM then, but back then, trance music was my thing. But so now, to be honest, my personal taste in music, oh wow, I listen to everything, but I like, old school. I love some jazz. I love Frank Sinatra. I'm an 80s kid, so I love my 80s music, going back to that stuff. Classical, I even listen to I'll sometimes, especially because my job is so stressful at times, I'll just sit and I'll listen to some classical music with my cigar, and I'm a happy race director.
I listen to extreme heavy metal.
Okay.
So the moment you tell anyone about Florida, they forget about everything, because Florida is known as the home place for death metal.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like the home place of extreme death metal.
I never knew that, and I've been there 20 years.
So in the heavy metal community, the moment you say Florida, people will be, oh, this is the place for extreme death metal. So
that is so far. I guess I'm just too old. I mean, because I used to, I managed clubs, and I was a DJ, and that's how I do events, because I used to put on these big EDM events. So I guess I just moved in different circles. To me, Florida, I think of raves,
And the next question what I wanted to ask is about your passion for cigars. Can you talk to us very brief about, when did you start getting into cigars? Because I follow you on Instagram, and you constantly post a lot about cigars as well. So
yes, I know. I post a lot of the same nonsense, but I don't know. I think it started when I finished with the nightclubs and everything, I decided to take a break. I used to smoke cigarettes, which was a bad habit of mine for many years. I stopped before my son was born. I thought I have to stop. So that was 15, 16 years ago. And I also decided I thought I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to stop everything. I'm going to start exercising, because, nightclubs, you get into a lot of bad habits. It's too easy to stand there with a drink. So I stopped everything. I thought, well, I've got nothing now. I'm bored. So I'd go out and I'd have a Coke or a Sprite or whatever it might be while my friends are drinking. And I was like, oh, I'll have a cigar. So I had a cigar, and I don't know, there's something about it. There's something about just, it's very hard to think about anything else apart from just relaxing. So it's like a friend of mine said, and I don't really play golf because I'm not very good at it, but he said, if you ever play golf, just try and think about something else. And it's very difficult, because I can smoke a cigar, and I find it very difficult to wander off and get stressed about work, because my brain just doesn't go there. Does that make sense? So for some reason it's very cathartic for me. And then now I got into cigars, I can actually tell the differences, and I can, sense, oh, this has got this, and this has got like a leathery feel, and this is this. I can even honestly tell where tobacco comes from a lot of the time now.
And is that just by the smell of it, or
just by doing it for long enough? I know that I seem to gravitate towards Nicaragua, because they have a place called Esteli, which they call the New Cuba, and they have a certain style. It's all about the soil, and I'm not going to go too much down the rabbit hole here, but it's the soil has a certain richness, and it gives the leaves a certain sort of like a texture and a certain richness that I like. And you go to they have a Connecticut, believe it or not, Connecticut leaf, which is a lot milder. Doesn't really do it for me. So it's just a thing. But now I love it. And with my friends, we share cigars. It's a hobby. It's like collecting stamps or collecting coins or collecting whatever, but you just happen to set fire to them.
Absolutely. I mean, people are very passionate about cigars.
Yes, it's huge.
Definitely. And that's one of the reasons what I wanted to say is, you need to check out in Abu Dhabi a place called St. Regis.
I'm going to, absolutely.
Yeah. And are there any possibilities of you to visit Dubai as well, probably with you or with your family as well? Because Dubai, according to me, is more like, the, the city life in comparison, let's say, to Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi is
I've
great.
heard great things, and I have to go there, and I have to spend some time here. I'd like to come back with my wife and family, like you say. So I'm not thinking about work. I'm thinking about
Yeah,
relaxing, which I find very difficult. That's why the cigars help. Because my brain won't ever shut up. So I would love to come back. I've made some very, very good friends here, really good friends. So yeah, I'm a big fan. I love this place.
absolutely brilliant. Thank you so very much, Garfield, for doing this. Really, really appreciate this. Considering the fact that this is last week and you're extremely busy. So
You can
really
see it's getting
appreciate.
dark out here. The sun's going down. We're about to call it for the day and go back to the hotel. And I'm gonna have a cigar.
That is absolutely okay. Thank you so very much, Garfield, for doing this. Really, really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. I'll speak to you soon, my friend.
Thank you very much, Garfield. Have a nice one.
Cheers. Thank you.